Good evening, everyone. My name is Mazi Ezoke, and this is the State of the Nation, and I welcome you to this conversation. The Nigerian education system is facing renewed scrutiny following a major glitch in the 2025 UMTE exam conducted by JAMB. Nearly 380,000 students, mostly in the Southeast and Lagos, were affected by a technical error that invalidated the exam and prompted an abrupt rescheduling of a retest. Joining me this evening is Mr. Alex Onyia, who is a CEO of Educare Team. Alex, you're welcome to this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Alex, we were going to be discussing the reactions of Nigerians and their commentaries regarding this issue that we have witnessed in the last couple of weeks. Thanks to you, Nigerians are now seeing that JAMB has gone from denial to accepting responsibility. Together, we will unpack what went wrong, who is accountable, and what this means for the future of education in Nigeria. Now, before we kickstart, Alex, let me quickly say, ask this question. Now, obviously, you've been in the news, you've been in the eye of the storm as to what has been happening with this revelation. But let me take a little step backwards and ask you, what is it that Educare actually does? What is it that you do, and what how did you get into this whole brouhaha?
Okay, thank you for the question. Educare basically is Educare at its core is like an operating system that powers schools. So most of the top private schools, over 2,000 of them, they rely on Educare every day, both for their academics, their finance, their HR, every single thing that manages their business. Then we also have a key product in Educare called Exams.Educare. This is where people use to prepare for JAMB, WAEC, SAT, ACT, and NECO, BASIC, some of these in, national and international exams. So that one is what they use. So that one has about 1 million students practicing every day. And then Educare also has this large user base. So that's basically what we do, in very short and holistic form. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. So, in all this thing that you do, I've following you on Twitter. It appears you probably pig it back into something else. You've posted within the Southeast the state of schools, and can you just walk us through what you've been doing with schools, because you see dilapidated schools that you've really gone into and you've shown their status. What are your key findings there?
So for the schools in the southeast, we've gone to almost everywhere. 95 local governments scattered across the 5 states in the southeast. The state of education is very bad. And when you go to places like Ebonyi State, Imo State, things are very terrible. So one of the things we said is, let me see how I can be at a critical part of the solution, not just about talking about the problem. So first of all, we talked about, okay, I started from my village. I saw them last 2 years jam, the last year's jam. I saw them perform low. I said, you know what? I know exactly what it takes to take this to go from 70% failure to 100% success. I do it repeatedly every year with private schools. Why can't I make that investment in my own community? We've tried it and it worked. So now I've already seen, okay, these are the gaps. The state of scholar, to go back to the history of education, school is actually meant to be the old Greek people who founded education, what they normally do, school is where they come in the evening to relax. And when they relax, they learn. So learning actually happens at night. However, schools are designed to be very conducive and comfortable because learning happens in a very conducive environment. So when you look, that's why if you come to schools at today, see schools are big, people play ball, it's a fun center, right? Now things started changing. Schools are very terrible, everything is a horrible place. So like, no. we can't continue this. So one of the things I said, you know what? I mean, a lot of people buy into some of the things we discuss about on X. Let's do something. Let's all come together. Let's even start from renovating a school. Let's pick a random place that nobody relates to. We picked Ndubia in Ebonyi State. We fixed it, took a block, repainted it. I mean, fixed everything, repainted it, got chairs, did everything for them. Our students were back to class and they're learning. See the students that were looking tattered. We changed them, look at them on clean uniforms, and then learning on the whiteboard. So that completely changed. See the teachers that never come to school. Every teacher is already in one class. So from not coming to school, already colonizing, everybody likes good things. So we're able to give them a conducive place. So we automatically change learning in that village. And up to today, the village still calls and says, we have never seen this kind of thing ever. We went to another place again, was with them, and then we did the same magic. So we believe that, I mean, we can be able to collectively fix a lot because at the end of the day, if the system is good, we are going to be safe and happy and progressive. If the system is bad, we will all run away. So one of the ways to be able to solve a deficient system is let's fix education. Before we talk about the curriculum and what they are learning, they need to be able to learn in be in a convenient place. Before we say, okay, we don't like this curriculum. And I like the fact that, I mean, even just coming to what's happening in JAMB now, because I want us to use that way. Because if JAMB systems, even their question models, if you start requiring a lot of thinking, even the education system will be forced to change so that they can pass JAMB. So there's a lot of things that, I mean, that we are doing, trying to push for curriculum change. I remember when I pushed NERDC, push, they did one shabby curriculum review that after 15 years, but at least something was done. I knew that, okay, something can be done. Even their useless office in Lagos, I had to push for them to renovate it. So there's a lot of things that we need to, you know, let's use our superpowers to be able to make changes as much as we can. And I think even with resources, people we are supporting, you know, I have a lot of people under my sponsorship. I just want to make sure that anything that can make people move forward, let's keep pushing. I think so far so good. We've made a lot of interesting progress.
So what's in all this you've been doing, how receptive have, you know, the state governors or the state government, like if I take the Ebonyi case, for example, where you made some changes, have you been able to interface with the state to say, okay, can we now take this instead of one school, can we now make it across all local government and communities?
I think if you want to talk about states, maybe you talk about Enugu State, you talk about Abia in some places, and then you talk about Anambra in a very small way. But when, if you talk about this other place, look at who are the people in charge. So you need to understand yourself to help the society now. So we already knew the kind of people, they already knew the kind of thinking there. So even while, I mean, definitely we've done all these things in your states, you people come, we are not in the same mental frequency, right? And you can only do very limited things. So some of the states, like some of the things we are doing, different Enugu have reached out, Abia have reached out, Anambra have also reached out, and you can see the kind of support they are also doing in their own states, right? But in states chose to be able to send people to London who will never come back.
So, but what you're confirming is there are states that have really, you know, you guys are now working together.
We are not working together. We only have communication. We are not working with any states. So I don't think, and I also noticed something, you know, because part of the indices of development is education, right? And states don't feel comfortable giving their responsibilities to a different people.
Yeah.
So they feel that it is to their own disadvantage if different people do at fundamental what they're meant to do. Wow. So they rather pick from your ideas and move fast than to actually work with you. So that is what I've noticed in them.
Wow. Okay, Alex, let's come to the meat of the matter, which is the issue with the JAMB. Let's begin with the basics. What exactly caused the UMTE exam glitch, and how did this error go unnoticed until over 150 sessions had already been affected?
So this is a human error, right? This is a technical glitch caused by a human, right? And I never knew that JAMB has vendors. I never knew that there were JAMB work with. I thought JAMB owns their system and everything. So with this, we now realize that, oh, JAMB actually has vendors. And I think there are like 4 vendors or so that manages the different systems.
So, sorry for clarity here. When you talk about these vendors, they have external vendors. Do they have where does this server sit, with the vendors or with the JAMB?
No, the server sits with the JAMB system.
With the JAMB, okay.
Yeah, so this is the vendors manages the server. They have the server, they have the software. So these are people these are vendors that they have. I thought all those things are internally managed fully. I didn't know that they need external vendors for that. That's one aspect of it, right? Secondly, one of the vendors, so they have different clusters, right? I mean, South Lagos and Southeast is a one cluster. Other places are different clusters, right? So, and this year, they introduced some, they boast about they have improved the security and everything. They introduced some tough security updates that made it a little bit more tighter because their own goal is to keep reducing malpractice. From when they moved to CVT, they had significant improvement up to like a 90% from the people running away with answer sheet, question sheet from the window to leak this thing to not that thing as it doesn't happen again, right? So that's how they record their success. Okay, let them shift it a little bit to 95%. So at that point, they introduced some updates, which they tested according to what they explained. They tested, did a lot of all those testing. But one thing I noticed is that there was, the people, since there was like a last minute update that they did not push before the exam. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, that does. Yeah.
Yeah, as they didn't push that particular thing, so they pushed it in, and for the reason they didn't push it in this particular one that has the Southeast. So the implication was,
yeah, but that's, you see, sorry for clarity here. If you're saying they are using one server, so the understanding will be that they are using one central server.
no, not once. When they say one server, nobody ever uses one server. No sensible IT person uses one server. It's a horizontal scale system.
Okay.
So there are different distributed servers, but controlled by JAMB.
Okay. So, but in this case, was it an update or a patch?
So it's actually a patch.
Okay.
It's actually a patch. So that patch, for some reasons, as they explained from the vendor, they didn't push that patch. So the point is, the implication of that was it is going to affect. The implication is that, normally if you write an exam, answer 1 to 100 questions, system is meant to, calculate and grade you based on that. The system only takes like, let's say 20 is a random number, 20, 30, grades you by that 30 against 100. So the rest of the 70 questions are lost. So your grading was based on the 30. You get my point. So when they increase it by 30, combine it with the other one. That is why you see people scoring 30 in a subject, 40 in a particular subject, right? So based on that, we're able to see how everybody is scoring really low. So that is basically how the layman understanding of exactly what happened.
Okay. But how did you push to the point that JAMB caved in? Because recall that even the Minister of Education at some point said that those states were where malpractices were basically off the roof. But for some reason, when everybody kind of accepted their fate, well, these children, maybe because of the use of telephone, they are not doing, reading enough now. But you kept pushing. What was it that you knew that made you to remain consistent?
So this is what I've been doing for the past 11 years.
Okay.
Since 2014. So I understand how system works. The Minister of Education is a medical doctor, so he doesn't understand any of this. And basically, he's basically relaying information based on what he's told. As a medical doctor, somebody tells you somebody's ill, there are questions you ask. But as an engineer, if someone tells somebody is ill, you understand, and there's a response from a doctor, you will just take that response, right? But as a medical doctor, you have to ask questions. And from that question, you can start noticing patterns, right? We have already seen people practicing our system consistently. We have an expectation. And over the years, this thing is almost 100% accurate. So when I told my village people, all of you will pass, I knew they will pass. I was not guessing. And if we follow through this process, you must pass. All the schools relying on our system, they have this guarantee. So when The results came out, my phone was buzzing back to back, and I noticed some clear discrepancy. The best student in a school is scoring 160. This is school that have 30 years record of excellence in results. The person that won national mathematics competition is scoring 40 in maths. You can see a lot of things that are completely, and these people say they finished, they submitted. Somebody scored 281, scored 311, and you're already seeing 168 in JAMB. So I noticed this pattern. I said, there is something absolutely wrong. Unfortunately, I have deep understanding of how these systems work. I already guess this is what the problem is going to be, right? I said, okay, the second, let's even do public opinion. I put up a form, fill your form. I had 18,000 people fill the form. And what am I seeing there? I noticed the pattern. The only thing I didn't really notice from the beginning was I didn't know that it affected like a particular region. So noticing Lagos was like 60% of the reports. I'm seeing Anambra, Enugu. I said, oh, interesting. I didn't even know that there was like a regional pattern. Or like maybe it's Enugu people that are following me or Lagos people that are following me on X. Maybe they're the one that saw it. So that's not just shown some of these people, but they're just very significant, right? Now, looking at this, comparing with what I was sure of, comparing with public data, comparing with public complaint, I was very certain that there is an issue. So the point is, how do I ensure that JAMB take action immediately? Because children were getting very moody, children were getting suicidal, there was so much pressure. I had to go and consult a legal advice and say, this is what I want to do, and I have one option. It must work because this is a case of national emergency. If this doesn't work, it's going to cause a lot of harm. A lot of children will start killing, their brain are not ripe. They will start killing themselves very quickly. As a child, this is the most important success for you as a Nigerian child at this stage. So I understood the audience. I said, okay. So based on different advices, I said, okay, you know what? Let's go through the normal process. Freedom of information. We are going to give them 7 days, but we are not going to just write to JAMB. We are going to write to the speaker. We are going to write to the Senate president. We are going to write to the minister. And we are going to take it to the president, and we are going to take it to the United Nations immediately. I want to take it to every single place as quickly as possible. By the time this 7 days and the 14 days extra elapses, we are going straight to litigation. We'll take it to Supreme Court. This was the plan. And the pressure and the intensity was much, right? So when we wrote them, I've already seen the tone of mind. I've already seen where we are going to. And I think also they have already noticed that issue because when in the conversation they mentioned that when they saw the result, in as much as it's a little bit, but there's something that was completely off. But you know, over the past 11 years, it seems as if it's the same pattern, right? But something was off. So, but they couldn't really lay their hands on it until we started intensifying pressure. They had to start investigation. And because I also, when you make arguments with data, right? It usually helps the person you are trying to argue with. When I'm telling you that 18,000 people are making exactly the same complaint, and I'm giving you proof to proof to proof to proof to proof to proof. That was when they said, please come and join us. Let's even understand what the problem is. And when we went there and looked at their system, everything was very clear for us. We now, and with what they already have and what we have, it was easy for us to match data and say this was the problem and this is where it's coming from and these are the people that we affected.
Did they actually, you said they were receptive, when you approached them. Did they give you access to their?
They gave us full access to their system, yes.
Okay. So, and at this point, when you started reviewing it, did it occur to you what may have, if they had suspected that something like this happened, why, to your mind, why didn't they, before you picked it up, why didn't they do anything?
So this is the first deception they had, because they introduced some tighter security protocol, in quote, right? So, and when the result came out, they felt that they don't catch thieves. Without
so actually, this issue was what they were referring to, that the issue of Anambra and Lagos, where they said malpractice happened. So for them, this was the malpractice.
Yes, this is what they thought. You are looking at 2 million data sets. So 2 million data sets, you are not going into detail. And I don't think their visualization was plotting down today because they have never experienced this kind of thing before. So if they have experienced it, let's say 5 years ago, I know that they will start replotting across states. A state that was having 80%, if they decline to 20, it is something that could have prompted you to check. but I don't think they had those kind of visualizations, right? So when they saw it, they already feel that, oh, maybe because of that security check we've tightened up, we don't catch thieves. I don't know if you get me. This is what they were thinking, not knowing that they committed the largest blunder. It was when we started putting fire that they now said, okay, let's check. Oh, this is our security team. I don't think that is the problem. Oh. Let's check.
Sure.
That was when things start coming out.
Wow. And you must be some sort of hero, honestly. And even if they say heroes don't wear cap, but I think you need to wear one because if not for your persistence, I mean, we're looking at 380,000 students would have just gone like that, and I think somewhere in Lagos we have lost one child that was really that's taken her life already. So, and that is not the only one that is known. Actually, there might be more that no one knows, either because you don't know what the families they might have gone through, the way and manner they might have spoken to these children that may have prompted them to taking some of this drastic action. Now, since yesterday, since these things came out, many people have been saying that there appears to have been a pattern even in the past. Would you agree with that? That sometimes that even in the past that appeared that some things were off, some sort.
Yes, I will agree that in the past some things were off, just that it wasn't obvious, like the way this one happened in a particular clear cluster.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, let me tell you, those things that were off, JAMB was not aware.
They were not aware.
I can guarantee you that of course I can't vouch for them, but from what I have seen, these patches happen, engineers hid it.
Wow.
You know the way doctors can make a mistake
and they'll just hide it if you can't notice
it. They will hide it, and until you do the one that will cause the hospital to want to burn down, they will start investigating. So I believe that some of because this is and remember, the advancement we have now is way better than what was there last 2 years, and other years. So I'm trying to do iterations and improvements. Definitely there must have been glitches. And unfortunately, people that were affected, they're actually quite unfortunate on that matter.
Wow. And now there is another angle to it. Make it make sense to many people who are not tech savvy, or rather, even if in Nigeria today, whatever we do, it's even when geographical leanings or geopolitical leanings are not entirely in the constitution, but many things we do today are based on that geopolitical leanings. We see something like Northeast Development Commission, Southeast Development Commission, South. Do you understand? In that thinking pattern. But when it comes to exam, make it make sense to the viewers how Lagos State and the Southeast State are in the same horizon as regards this exam.
I don't know who advised that, to be frank with you. I mean, if I was part of the team and they were doing the whole cluster patterning and everything, I will clearly tell them, this thing you people are about to do, you are brooding a snake. The day it will grow, it will swallow you people. Because it's based on the kind of issues, I mean, the challenges we have in the nation, a lot of biases. There is no way you can cluster all eastern states in one place. You are trying to explain yourself. Like I said, I don't work for JAMB. I don't work with JAMB. I only give you feedback from what I know. I'm not even vouching for them. I'm not even trying to criticize them at this point. I'm basically saying, based on what information I have, is based on my judgment. I may even be wrong tomorrow, right? However, for that decision, I don't know who informed that. I don't even know when that decision was made. I don't know who did that advice. That's why I like to do something. Personally, I love public opinions, because in that public, especially on X, there are a lot of professionals, a lot of super intelligent people across board. By the time you see suggestion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you will always make the right decision. But you bring people who mentally they are outdated, or even people who are even biased, and you are making very critical decisions that affect a generation. So I don't know how the decision was made, but it makes absolute no sense clustering eastern states in one place. Even if Imo State was in another cluster, Enugu State was another, even if it's just 3 instances that were in one cluster and Lagos and 2 of Kogi and 2 or 4 other people, and this thing happened, it makes sense. Even when people want to say, okay, they targeted these people, what happened to Imo State? What happened to Abia State? Would you say Abia that? I don't know if you get me. The argument will make more sense. So that decision foundationally was a very big error, right? In as much as there's something else I told them, Chinese people, there's what they call processes. They note down processes. You cannot be making an update for a critical exam a week before the exam. Now, ideally, how systems
So meaning it wasn't even tested properly.
They tested based on what they used to do, but you introduce something new. That's something new should have been tested. Even normally, how these things are done is a month before the exam, all testing, critical testing, simulation must have been done. So what happens is nothing new is introduced again a month. So by the time they are writing the exam, all the simulations should have been accurate. You are checking this, check, and that's why quality controls are there. When all checks are done, you know that you are guaranteed excellence in this particular thing. We've done this, we've made similar mistake in the past, right? Not at this scale, but we made similar mistake in the past. And we've learned our lesson very quickly. So we don't take those kind of unnecessary risks. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
So these are the kind of things, because when they try to explain, I was like, who informed these things? Who are the people thinking about these things? That is why it is important to have people like us. We don't need to work with you. Let it be that before the exam, we will ask the right questions, ask the right testing mechanisms, do all so that we know that when you are writing the exam, you have guaranteed success. Because for me, I was telling them that it's not just about the testing. I have a problem with the registration. You see, people want to register for JAMB. They have to wait till midnight. They have to take 1 week to register. Payment is a problem. Changing courses. As I'm talking to you now, my little cousin who has gotten admission in UNN, she has not been able to correct her course in JAMB portal. Her school in JAMB portal.
Why?
You understand? She had to go and fake this thing to get a matric number because she needed to get a matric number to matriculate. She legally has admission from UNN because she didn't know that she was going to come here. She went to go and change online. To change it back is a problem up to today. So there are issues across verticals aside from even the actual testing itself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure.
So because of this, these are the and this is 2025. Technology has advanced so quickly. AI is there, so we can't keep making 2024 mistakes in 2025. These are part of the things I have actually highlighted for them. And I think it's important. Critical system, there's nothing like politics or bias. These are systems that when it has to do with aviation, when it has to do with education, right? When it has to do with healthcare, these are top critical systems, and even military. These are top critical systems that you don't do any form of IM or bias or politics. You look for the most qualified and the best form of people so that we can maintain the minimum level of excellence, and even in banking as well, right? Not when, I don't know who had they choose the people, I don't know anything, but I mean, these flaws are there. So that's why we had to make sure that this thing doesn't occur again.
No, since yesterday, there is this conversation that have been on the Twitter street, a street where I believe you spend a considerable amount of time also.
Yeah.
And I believe you've been reading that. I believe that conversation was also what probably forced you to make a tweet this morning. I will come to your tweet. But before I do, in all honesty, many people are accusing JAMB that they messed up, that this is deliberate, that they targeted certain region. Now, sitting down here, by all the things you know, do you in any way, shape, or form think that there is some deliberate attempt to, bring certain regions down?
From JAMB as a body, no. From the vendors, I can't vouch for them. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure. So there could be the vendor that managed South, that cluster, there could be, no one knows, but maybe there is no policy within JAMB, but there could be that this vendor that managed that particular cluster had something up the sleeves.
It's possible. Now. It's just like taking your wife to a hospital, don't to know that the person was the doctor was your ex-girlfriend. Those kind of things can happen. I mean, I can't say this is what happened, but what I'm saying is from JAMB, from the understanding of JAMB and some things I know, from JAMB as a body, no.
Mm-hmm.
From the vendors, I can't vouch for them.
Do you know who this vendor is?
I know, but I mean, we are not authorized to share that. I mean, I had to know. Yeah, but we are not authorized to share. But from the vendor, I don't know, right? Because they're the one that tampers with the core system. From JAMB as a body, no. JAMB, from what I've seen, JAMB is actually a very credible and transparent organization, right? So that is what I have seen. But for the people, I can't vouch for them at all. So that is why organizations like this, what they do is that, because they may likely be biased, trust me, they may also not be biased. I mean, maybe this one casted that it affected many people that they catch. I don't know if you get me.
Sure.
Or they didn't implement it well. This is possible. Also, they may also not be any form of bias. So, but I can't vouch for them. But for the organization that I know is what I'm talking about. So for this other one now, that's how they have these 3 or 4 checks. You have finished your own. These people that are not connected to you check. These other people that are not connected to you check. By the time the final people checks, they can certify. So if you want to create a bias in the system, you have to be able to defraud 4 unknown people. By the time you're able to defraud 4 unknown people, then you know you're a super genius that probably existed once in a lifetime. So this is how those kind of critical systems are being checked. So
but was this multiple gateways implemented?
No, I don't think this is their approach.
Okay, so meaning there is this lacuna there that could have led that to happen.
It's possible. Like I said, based on our findings, the system shows that there was no deliberate manipulation, right? That is what it is. But I mean, people built the system, people killed the system, so it's possible. But from what we've seen, there is absolutely nothing that indicates.
Yesterday, were you there while the press conference happened?
No, I wasn't there. It was my colleague that was there.
Okay, so but what's your take when you saw this video?
Accept the explanation I've given as the truth on this matter. I apologize and take full responsibility, not just in words. I want to say a big thank you to all of you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Many Nigerians, after watching this, said, there should be consequences beyond shedding of tears. Do you think, and would you agree with many Nigerians, myself included, that, there should be consequences for such big lapse where, people should let go? And many have argued that in certain countries, after that press conference yesterday, he would have handed in his resignation. Do you agree with that?
Okay, so the point is, has this occurred before? No. This is the first time, right?
Well, publicly, before now, it might be some doses that we didn't know.
Publicly, no, right? Secondly, was the issue identified and was the issue fixed? Did it cause harm? Yes. Are they facing consequences? Yes. What the first consequence is, these people are going to write this exam at no cost to them, right? So first of all, there's a very big cost that they're going to bear. If not for anything, nothing less than, I think, maybe 400-500 million is going to go out of their pockets, right? For this same purpose. Who is going to bear the brunt? JAMB, right? Then for the registrar, honestly, I think he needs a second chance. If this kind of thing happens again, right, or anything of the slightest form, then I think resigning is something that has to happen.
many people have made the argument that this happened because when the INEC glitch in 2023 happened, some people argued for a second chance. And the argument is now that the INEC glitch has migrated into JAMB. So when are we going to be glitch free? So if we keep giving second chances, we'll never know. It might be next to be the one in control of our airspace. When an aircraft drops from the sky, we might have to give them another chance, right? So
Yeah. Okay, continue.
yeah, I mean, it's on.
I
I
mean,
just
I don't know how the public space works. Honestly, I've been in private spaces, and then we make mistakes rapidly and we change rapidly. So maybe my own perception point is from the point of the private space. I make a lot of mistakes, and I also get a lot of things right. So of course, I can't stop being the CEO of Educare because I made one mistake, right? However, the point is how quickly am I able to identify and fix? So in the public space, it's probably being perceived differently. Commit one error, you go. You understand? So maybe from the public point, honestly, I've never been in any public office. Of course, I'm never hoping to be in anyone in the future now. So I don't know how it looks like. I know there's a lot of pressure coming to even defend, explain, and all. I don't understand how it works. But the point is, from the private space, we are built around making a lot of mistakes and then correcting very quickly. So when I see mistakes, I don't see it as, oh no. I see it as this has happened. Learn it, build systems around it, fix it. Let this kind of thing never happen again. So if it happens again, I see that you never learn from the lesson. So because of that, at this point, we need to go. So that is how I see it.
So why did JAMB choose a full retest instead of remarking the original scripts? I mean, going back to what we kind of touched on before, was there any viable way to salvage those results without forcing students to start all over again, especially given the tight timeline with WAEC and NECO?
I think foundationally, JAMB lost confidence in the vendor. They lost complete confidence in the vendor, right? When they were having, that wasn't there, but I mean, when they were having their session, they lost complete confidence because if a vendor could commit this blunder and put the reputation of the organization and this mess, right? They don't even trust if they do a remark that is not going to be fixed. Yeah. And when issue happens and it happens again, right? And because it's already happened, a child that got 170 and the child finally after remarking, the child is getting 180 and the child is claiming that they are meant to get 280. I don't know if you get me. Which you can't say they are wrong and you cannot say you are right. I don't know if you get my point.
Sure.
Based on that, and they don't even trust the way the system, the public have lost, are trying to lose confidence in JAMB. It's the same way JAMB also have already lost confidence in that organization. Based on that, they said, you know what, it's better they go through the pain of getting, first of all, they're not going to use that vendor. They have already dropped the vendor. They are using the vendor. Handle this vendor that we know that at least they have had consistency with us and this issue didn't come from them. Handle this particular one, right? Let's be sure that the assessment and the market and everything will be accurate. I don't know if you get me. Because I can't afford to make this mistake twice. The only place I have a problem is the timing. Although the timing also has their own reasons, because from what they explained, JAMB is a national program and a lot of things are plugged into JAMB. Now, these incidents have happened. If they shift it so far, you understand, this is a lot of problems. So I'm talking to you now, next week, ND is meant to shortlist their candidates and they take JAMB 180, a lot of other organizations that are attached to JAMB, right? So based on that, what happens to the people that will miss NDA or that are meant to be part of NDA? You get my point. So many other considerations that they have. Now they had to now call WAEC and negotiate with WAEC. WAEC said, okay, they're having music and agri. They can even shift that one, right? Because it is not like they call English, maths, chemistry, physics, and all. They can shift it a bit so that they can be able to do that retake. Based on that conversation and agreement, that's what they say, no one, let them do it, start tomorrow. next tomorrow so that it will be easy. These are their decisions. I wasn't there. I just tried to build understandings around what I've
Sure.
heard. You understand? So
Sure.
if I was the one, honestly, I would still choose August. I will
Okay.
have to be NDA to push because the timing and the trauma, I think I needed them to heal. Right?
Exactly.
So
Because
or I will publicly say, this is what happened. This is the vendor. They say they have fixed it. Unfortunately, if we expose these children to rewrite, these are the implications. We have to take the risk of remarking. Either if the risk is too much, I may probably not take, maybe I may not go through that risk because I've already lost confidence. But August, we'll have to see how we can change. I mean, life happens. Life is not fixed. So that is
because
what I've done.
we are not even sure, to be honest with you, we are not even sure since this was found out this week and everything happened this week. We're not even sure that by tomorrow being Friday, that the whole patch has been fixed.
No, that one. So, no, if it's that one, no, that one is already fixed. It's already fixed, right? That one is fixed far away. It's fixed. That one, I can guarantee you that one.
Okay,
Because
but
they are working with a different job.
the retest was announced less than 48 hours before it begins, meaning tomorrow morning, right? And it was announced only yesterday. Now, how do you assess this decision from both a logistical point and student welfare perspective? Could it be, or rather, could it have been handled with more empathy? You know, people have argued, why wouldn't they push this to August rather than hush hush? And some have actually said, even if it means changing the admission timetable in Nigeria, so be it. Some have using the political landscape to give example to say that in Anambra State, Anambra was able to push the gubernatorial timetable to a different month, I think November, while Nigeria still goes on with February. And and same with Imo State, based on some legal issues that arose. So, don't you think that JAMB should have done more, since this is coming from them, and many think that this is definitely unfair on these young children?
I completely agree with you. I think they should have just found a way, even if to shift NECO, because NECO is not written by everyone. Even if it's to give them like 2-3 weeks for them to be able to reset. I think that could have, because a lot of planning. Somebody that's in Nasarawa, somebody wrote me, I'm in Nasarawa and that should do me tomorrow. What am I going to do? And of course, that's already a problem. So there's a lot of challenges. That's why this kind of decisions, like I said, I like public opinion. I could have probably said, you know what, let's come on X space. Let's discuss about these things. By the time I start hearing that from people's perspectives and everything, I will have to think it more deeply. Because the information in that room may not be enough to make, as much as yes, you're under pressure, but it has happened that it has happened. And you've already admitted that it has happened. And Nigerians will not fault you. Where the problem is what is the next step forward? So looking at so many other parameters, for me, I could have said, even if it's in June, sometime in June, or shift NECO by 1 week, let it get to August. We can do that one, but let's see how we can give this at least 2 weeks. That 2 weeks could have been better. If you're not around, you plan to travel back, this and that, get your logistics together, because there's a lot of things involved. You get, I just felt that could have been better. That's my own thinking, actually.
Well, it appears that JAMB is jumping from one controversy to another. Recall that weeks ago, or even at the beginning of the year, or rather earlier the year, there was this concern that exams were to start by 6:30. And if I go to Twitter now, I think on your own page, moments ago, you made a tweet. Let me pull that up quickly. You made a tweet here where you actually said, let me read that out for our viewers. Scheduling students to write exams by 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. is not acceptable. This country is not safe. These are people's children. and not just numbers. We can't compromise their safety. So it appears, even in all these controversies, that JAMB is still, doubling down on certain things that will unsettle these young children in writing the exam.
Yes, like I said, I think there's a lot of haste in decisions, in as much as there's a lot of pressure. I could have loved these decisions to be analyzed a lot more from different perspectives, not just a limited perspective, right?
Mm.
I mean, when you're in haste, you tend to make a lot more mistakes. Make
Mm.
this mistake, make this mistake, make this mistake. So understanding that principle should have said, you know what, let there be calm. You've already seen the problem, no problem. We already know, we've already fixed it. Let's think and say, okay, let's give ourselves 1 day rest and then come the next day and say, what are we going to do? What are we going to call? Let's look at the calendars again. What are we going to shift? How are we going to do this? Knowing that we just need 2-3 days to do this. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is basically what I think could have been the ideal thing. But since it's not been done that way, we tend to, because that timing is a problem. A lot of things actually. So for me, that's where the issue. And then a lot of things are just not fully organized now because of too much pressure. Because trust me, they were under extreme pressure. These people have not slept for like 4 days. So as I'm talking to you, as at yesterday, 2 a.m., they are still working, including the registrar. You understand? So one of them at some point are like, this guy is somebody's father. You understand?
Well, when duty calls.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that because of that pressure, so I just felt that it could have just been chill, calm down. This has happened. You can't revert the time. The point is how we're going to make the future better, so that we know, okay, let's shift it and then do it that way. This is what I could have suggested. If I had the opportunity to do that.
Obviously, the public trust in JAMB has been shaken. We had hashtags like boycott JAMB trending on X. What steps do you think JAMB needs to take to rebuild confidence among students, parents, and educators?
Yeah, I think the first thing first, it's hard to build trust and then it's easy to destroy. However, it's also to still take a process because how you build trust is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this has happened and you have claimed that you fixed the system.
Mm-hmm.
If people write it, let it be that the system does not fail them again. If the system does not fail them again, they will accept, okay, we are still suspecting you, but at least we've shown that you fixed the system. This next year, because those people will write their own and the system does not fail them again. Okay, JAMB actually fixed the problem they claim.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still watching you with one small eye. The coming year, they did it and it still went seamless. Everybody will say, checking out. JAMB has fixed it. So the confidence comes back. That's basically, it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a while. No matter what we speak and say, it is that action, that result that will actually build back confidence.
Mm. And there are a lot of people, there are people that have gone to court, probably within the next hour or so. We'll be knowing if the injunction to stop the exam tomorrow was granted. Do you think the individuals or groups that have gone to court to demand for JAMB to stop the exam tomorrow, do you think that they overreacted, or do you think it's within their right to stop that actually through legal means?
Everybody is right in their own ways, right? I know that if I was the one managing JAMB or anything, one thing I must do, aside from internal review, I must do public engagement. Probably I'll start with public engagement if I go to internal engagement. Because I'm making a decision that affects the public. I can't sit down with 5-10 people in a room and decide for the future of 1.9 million people. What I'll do is basically is I'll come on space. Or thank God we have technology now. Let's have a public engagement. I know what I want to do, but I needed somebody to tell me this is wrong. That's what so you have those engagement. By the time you start seeing perspective, we will now come in our own internal meeting. Based on this, what this guy said, it makes sense. So let's add this, add this. By the time we come and bring out something, first of all, it's the public that made the decision. Secondly, we only refined it and brought it out. So you see that you did not make a decision, and when public feels that they are part of a decision, then they will support you with everything. But when public feels that they are not part of a decision, they will fight you with everything either.
Mm.
So that's why everybody's right in their own eyes. I mean, they will always want to. I mean, I wouldn't say the public is wrong, neither will I say the JAMB is right. For me, let the best flow.
Okay, before we round up, Alex, let me draw a parallel here between this particular incident and potential vulnerability in other national systems, such as INEC election processes in 2027. Do you see this as a broader systematic issue in Nigerian technological infrastructure? I mean, I think many are already fearing that we may be in a space of a glitch.
There's something you need to understand. When people want to do something, for instance, you want to supply connectivity to Nigeria, it is better to work with Starlink, who have done connectivity across nations, more than 2 billion people, who understand scale, sustaining understanding scale is a very unique opportunity and skill that not everybody, not because you're an IT company, they'll come and give you much scale. No. People like us who have handled things at large scale consistently for the past 11 years, who understand how large scale systems work. People like MoneyPoint, who understand how large payment system, who before they even build system, they have been in this space for a very long time. If you give MoneyPoint 20 million people to manage, they will not flinch because they have already built capacity to manage it at that large scale. I don't know if you get me. These are people who understand and have reputation for skill. These are the kind of people who you should give those kind of activities for. What happens is one IT firm come and bid and they give it to you, right? You don't have the experience of skill. You don't understand skill. And you are playing around the career and the future of people with a lot of knowledge gap. You are using the people's future to learn and giving excuses. You are giving people like Amazon, Google, people who have done things at the maximum scale. So big countries or organizations, what they do is, what they want to do these things, they go to those people, negotiate with them, build these things with them, knowing that when they work with these people, the chances of failure is almost at infinitesimal stage. But when you go and bring an IT firm who is in a UTME or in Ikeja, who does not they are just hustling building software to eat.
I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to say it. I know you don't want to say it because some of these things are considered on primordial, with primordial sentiments, maybe based on ethnic consideration and friendship. Without necessarily looking at scalability. Who have done this for so number of years and scaled and and has experience in it and with track records. But probably that's why we are here. But again, wrapping up, my final question to you is looking ahead. In all this, what lessons do you hope JAMB and other educational bodies take from this crisis to prevent similar issues in the future? And how can we better prioritize students' welfare in Nigerians' educational system?
Firstly, is for critical systems, let the best be brought in to have this discussed and implemented. Critical systems, there should be zero bias. That is one thing, whether it's tribalism or Igbo, Yoruba, those things, no. In critical systems, there should be zero bias. It is just that simple. People who have the capacity, they are glaring, and also try to do public discourse. The public, especially on X, these people are super intelligent people. Engage the public. You are getting a lot of valuable information for free. You are not paying that expert who has worked in Google for 30 years, who is an Igbo man, that just decides to give you an information and told you that this particular issue and cluster, this is the issue that I've experienced in Google 15 years ago. Don't use it, use this one. This is an information you cannot just buy sitting in the room. If you engage them and they have this conversation, because they want Nigeria to be good, everybody wants that. So why they will give it to you is not because they just want to give it to you, because they want Nigeria to, they will give you that information. If you engage the public, trust me, you will highly likely make a lot of good decisions. By the time you have competent people, engage the public properly, right? And then be sincere and implement the right things. Trust me, you will have a lot more consistent systems. But if you miss these things, and then of course your quality control process have to now be tighter. It's no more going to be, and then all those 9-minute checks, 9-minute updates, it should never happen. Updates for JAMB exam should be at least a month before any other external software update, or even 2 months before. Let all testing, everything be done completely before then, and every other Nigerian system. For INEC, one, there's a knowledge gap and technical gap. That one is one. Like I said, you went to that bring contractor. If you check the contractors, nobody knows them. If you check what they have done, probably they have never done anything. That is one. Secondly, that one is core politics. I'm also thinking beyond just the technical gap, there's also a proper political bias. I'm not a politician, I don't like politics, I don't even like to talk about it, but just as a scope, that one is more complicated than JAMB, right? So JAMB is just assessing children. This one is pure, who is going to lead? It's either life or death. So you see the way they are brutal and they can go to any extent to ensure something goes wrong. So in that one, honestly, I don't know. Technically, I can just tell you what it may look like. I may be completely wrong, but I don't know. You say there's AWS. AWS came and defended themselves because these are highly reputable organizations. So it's obvious that there's a lot of things that we are intentionally wrong. So based on that, if they want INEC to be done well, they know what to do. Those systems can never be biased.
Anyway, Alex Onyia, thank you very much for this wonderful time here. I'll let you go. I understand you have a meeting in the next couple of minutes. It's been my pleasure to have this conversation with you. Thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And good night, everyone.
La 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 la.